Hello, welcome to Book and Film Compare. Enjoy the show. Welcome to another episode of Book and Film Compare. I am your host, Daniel. Today we are happy to present a classic story with ancient beginnings. Episode 4, The Sorcerer's Apprentice. Original book and Disney film, 1940s Fantasia. Original poem by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, born on August 28, 1749, died on March 22, 1832. He was a German writer and statesman. Question 1. Our first question is, what is the beginning of the book and what is the beginning of the movie, segment that is? The beginning of the book starts with the sorcerer, the magician, going away, and the apprentice was eager to start doing magic of his own. So he brings a broomstick to life and orders it to fill a bath/wash tub for him, which the broom starts doing continuously by bringing water from the river to the tub. The beginning of the movie starts with the sorcerer, Sid being his name, spelled backwards, making a butterfly out of a bat and spell magic, while the apprentice, played by Mickey Mouse, is filling a cauldron with water. The sorcerer then retires and goes to rest, putting down his magic hat, while the apprentice watches him go up, and then getting an idea, puts on his hat and using magic brings a broomstick to life, and then gives the broomstick arms and 2 buckets and orders it to take water from a fountain and fill the cauldron for him, which it starts doing. Question 2. Next question is comparing characters in the book and comparing characters in the movie segment. In the book, the sorcerer as well, we don't really see him. He's gone in the beginning and is mentioned only a tiny little bit in the end. We don't see his personality, what he feels, how he reacts to what his or her apprentice did. We don't even know if he/she is a person. The apprentice is the narrator of the story, and well, we don't know that he or she's very excitable. We know that, and eager to learn the business. We don't know much about the apprentice, like who he or she is, what he or she came from, why he or she is an apprentice in the first place, and we don't know what he or she was doing before the sorcerer went away. The broomstick, well, if I may add, I believe it represents slavery, It was created only to serve, and it only served, even though it continued after it was told to stop, representing people born into slavery and working into slavery. I am in no way pro-slavery or racist. I just feel that it's kind of what it symbolized. Otherwise, the broom was just an object brought to life. It didn't have much personality other than to do what the creator told it to do. In the movie segment, the sorcerer as well, he's very mysterious. We still don't know a lot about him, but we see more of him. He wears a blue coat, he has brown hair and sideburns, and he always looks very serious. Even when he has a sarcastic glee on his face, and he looks taller with a sorcerer hat on his head. The apprentice is played by Walt Disney's Mickey Mouse, and is very excitable and eager to learn the business. Plus he's very dramatic, very visionable. He wears a red cloak, and for the majority of the segment wears the sorcerer hat. He has a dream of being a powerful sorcerer in one part of the movie segment, and he tries to get along with his master, the sorcerer, after the whole fiasco. The broom, well, could still represent slavery, but here it also represents starting something without knowing how to stop it. I know the same could be said for the book, but here the broom splits into many after being axed by the apprentice. In the book it only split into two. The Sorcerer's Apprentice shares a lot in common with Robert Louis Stevenson's The Strange Cases of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Both stories involve someone trying an experiment that gets out of hand and beyond control. In The Sorcerer's Apprentice, the apprentice brought the broom to life and it continued bringing water until there was a flood. In Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Dr. Henry Jekyll drank a potion that turned him into the monstrous Mr. Edward Hyde, and eventually took over his whole body. Different stories, same moral. Don't start something you don't know how to control. The broom also has more motion, and while no face, eyes, or even mouth, it does show more personality in itself. Question 3. Next, are there any characters in the book that did not make it into the movie segment? Well, yes and no. There weren't a lot of characters in The Sorcerer's Apprentice other than the sorcerer, Yen Sid, the apprentice, Mickey, and the brooms. There wasn't that much in The Sorcerer's Apprentice that was not in the movie, other than the river, the cups and the bowls being filled with the water, the bath/wash tub, and Question 4. Next question. Are there any characters in the movie segment that did not exist in the book? Well, again, yes and no. There weren't a lot of characters in The Sorcerer's Apprentice other than the sorcerer, Yen Sid, the apprentice, Mickey, and the brooms. But there were in other adaptations, but we're just going to stick to the original and the Disney versions. In the movie, the broom split into many, and instead of just two like in the poem, so they could kind of count as characters that weren't in the book. There weren't a lot of characters in the movie segment, but there were a lot of stuff that did not appear in the book, like the butterfly bat spell the sorcerer conjures in the beginning, and the dream the apprentice, Mickey Mouse, has when he falls asleep after giving the broom orders. And even the water itself is described and shown more gallantly than in the book. Question 5. Warning, spoiler alert. If you haven't read the book or watched Fantasia yet, don't watch this part. This part reveals the ending of The Sorcerer's Apprentice book and the segment from the movie, so if you haven't seen either of them, don't watch this yet. If you've seen other versions like the Rankin Bass or the Marriott Theater version, don't watch this one yet, because the Disney and original versions are very different from them. So if you haven't seen either version, stop right now. Final warning, spoiler alert. And now for our final question. How is the ending of the book different from the ending of the movie segment? In the ending of the book, the broomstick splits into two and is continuing to bring water into the house. The apprentice is panicking and praying for the sorcerer to come and fix the mess. The sorcerer arrives and with magic turns everything back to normal, and the broom becomes one and goes back in the closet. The apprentice is overjoyed and praises his or her master. In the ending of the movie segment, the broomstick splits into many and is continuing to pour water everywhere. The apprentice, Mickey Mouse, is worried and drowning in the huge ocean of water the brooms created. He tries to get onto dry land, but the brooms keep putting more water on him everywhere. He then falls into a big whirlpool. The sorcerer, or Yen Sid, finally comes from his rest and sees all the water and mischief. He then raises his hands and with magic vanishes the water, reunites the broom, and turns everything back to normal. He then walks down and sees the apprentice, who looks up and sees the sorcerer looking very angry at him. The apprentice fixes the sorcerer hat and gives it back to his master, who grabs it furiously. The apprentice smiles weakly while the sorcerer's frown deepens. The apprentice then gives back the broom, which the sorcerer also grabs furiously, and picks up the buckets to resume his work. He starts scoring with the sorcerer watching him with a sort of smile on his face. The apprentice smiles, and then with a whack, the sorcerer hits the apprentice on the back with the broom, and the apprentice runs straight to work. This has been another video of Book and Film Compare. This is Daniel Raviv, giving you a fond farewell.